So, Ahlan wa sahlan, welcome back, my friends. I'm Faraz Shaikh, and welcome to this Saudi Arabia Microsoft Excel and Power Platform Meetup, where this is one place and infinite solution where we connect, we share, and we learn together. And to know more about me, most of you know me that I'm a founder of excelexciting.com and an MVP and an MCT. And I just love this community where you can share your knowledge, share your vision, learn from each other and passion. And today we have two lovely guests in the house. One is my friend Femke, another friend who is also joining from LA right now, all the way across the border, who going to talk about how not to use Copilot. That's something really interesting. Not to use Copilot because everybody's talking around that how to use the Copilot. Femke, what is there in the what is you're going to present to us?
Yeah, thank you for the great introduction. So we're going to talk about how not to use Copilot because a lot of people are already talking about how to use it. And Melissa and I believe in it if you just know exactly what Copilot can do and what it can't do, you actually can be better in using Copilot. And yeah, we already both using Copilot now for like 1 year or 1.5 years, and a lot of people struggling with it, what it is and how you can do that. So Melissa and I making a lot of content around that, so that's why we thought it's great to present that as well and giving our insights about how not to use Copilot so you actually can use it right. So that's what we're going to do. So
Wow. That
like
that
it.
we are super excited. So, just like to share you what are the past events happened in 2024, and we are continue doing this. And this year was Women in Tech, as I mentioned you. And I would like to thank all these lovely women, those who have presented on the Saudi Arabia Excel Power Platform Meetup, and who are going to come and present. So this was a great um, efforts by all these women who have shared their knowledge and encouraging other women and other people over here in the community to come forward and speak. So this year, by the way, we have MK who is starting the first meetup, and Melissa who is starting the first meetup of 2025 with Women in Tech. And we have some upcoming meetups which will be on 28th of February, which will be presented by me and in Saudi Arabia itself in person. You can get more details about the upcoming meetup in the meetup group. And there will be another online sessions. So make sure that you register them. And always feel free to connect with me anytime if you like to share your knowledge and you'd like to connect with me and come and speak about the Power Platform, Excel, or anything, any technology related you'd like to come and speak. Please feel free to write me back and connect with me. Just to make sure that everything goes well, just feel free to raise up your hand if you have any questions. And I would prefer that in the comment box, if you can just mention Q and you can write your questions. So later on, Femke and Melissa can take care of it and they can reply to you. So I'll be leaving the floor now to my friends and Melissa and Femke. Please, all
Yes.
stage is yours, girl.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm going to
Yeah.
share my screen. Share. Is it working? Yes, I think it's working, right? Great. So let's get started. First, a little bit of introduction. So if you hear something in the background, I'm a mom and my kids are cutting food at this moment. So if you hear something, they are in the background. We do things together. I'm a chief co-pilot at Vortel. I live in the Netherlands and I absolutely love to share knowledge all about M365, but as well Copilot. And I'm a Microsoft MVP, same as Faraz. And we actually like to help others as well on their journey, sharing knowledge about what we learned. And yeah, that's especially why as well Melissa is here, because she's the real superstar here, all about Copilot. And we're doing a lot of things together. I learn a lot about around Copilot as well from Melissa. So what we do together is working on a website. It's called TeamCopilot. So please find out as well. And we will share the link as well in our comments. But you making content around how not to use Copilot, but as well about things you didn't know already around Copilot. And we do that every week. So it's really fun to do that. And the things that we learn from our customers, but as well from our own journey, we try to put that in different blog posts and making a lot of content there that is actually for everyone available. Melissa, maybe you can introduce yourself as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So I am very, very excited to be here with you and thankful for the opportunity. I am not an MVP. I'm an aspiring MVP, and I love sharing content. I am very passionate about Copilot, and with Femke's help, I've been able to get to you today. So I am super passionate about being able to use Copilot in the right way, because we really feel that people position it differently. And so if you put something, whether it's a tool or person, in a position where they're only going to be tested at their worst options, and how they work the worst, we're not giving it a chance. So we hope that today's presentation sparks your interest on how you can use it differently. And if you are having challenges with it, hopefully this helps you push through and realize other ways of using it. Thank you so much.
Great. And then is, of course, as well the why, because we already a little bit mentioned it, but the why is as well that Melissa and I have a really good connection together. So we had a call together, and I was in the car, and we said, okay, what we see in the market is that we're missing that people don't actually understand how it really works. We get all kind of marketing movies. We see a lot of things happening from Microsoft sites, and everything is changing a lot. People don't actually know it. So that's why we started with all the blog posts as well. And we're doing a lot of things together, but that's as well why we started to make this presentation for you. And of course, we started with prompting.
Yes.
So Melissa, I give you the floor for the first kind of prompting tips that we have.
Absolutely. So prompting is how we can talk to AI tools, generative AI tools. And so think about human conversations. Let's just work with me here for a minute. It's, I don't know, 7 a.m. in the morning. You spent, 3 hours sleeping? 4 maybe. You see your absolute favorite coffee shop and you walk in and you say to your barista, I would like a delicious and perfect cup of coffee, please. How many of you think that the outcome is going to be your favorite cup? Probably not, right? So if you see my barista's face, you can probably imagine how the coffee is going to taste. Very good for him or her, but probably not for you. And so we live in a world where we are used to taking instructions similar to, can you make this better? And somehow better happens. But better happens because we already have context that Copilot doesn't have and doesn't remember because it really doesn't have memory. So if we walked in same way and said instead, I'd like a medium extra hot coconut milk latte with medium roasted blend. Add 2 sugars and heart-shaped latte art on top, please. What do you think you're going to get? Probably your delicious cup of coffee, right? Now notice I said please at the end and both times, and that's not a coincidence. I said please because what we are working with is a machine that learned on human communication. So when you ask somebody, can you please do this for me? Probably it's going to get a better answer than when you say, do this for me now. And that is exactly what this is working with. So make sure that pleasantries are used, that you talk to it as if you were talking to your assistant, your person, that one that's going to get you what you need. So the nicer you are, the better you'll be off. So you need, in order to get those exactly that piece of that coffee that you want, you need specific things that we ask for in that order. So we ask for the goal, which is what? Our perfect cup of coffee. We have a source, which means if you make a cup of coffee with espresso beans and you wanted a cappuccino, we're probably again not going to get a good cup of coffee. Context and expectations. So relevant to coffee today, right here, right now, but in your prompts in general. Let's talk about each piece. If you add each one of these in particular, one of each, one goal, one source, one context, one expectation at least. Now you can add more, right? Then you're going to probably get a result. That's what you expect. So let's start with a goal. So if you talk about a goal, that's that beautiful cup of coffee. But in reality, what we're looking at is, what is it? You want a picture, you want a table, you want a list, right? Maybe you want to write an article. Maybe it's not a list, right? These are the things that are going to make a difference for you. This is the task. So once you have a goal, the next thing is, well, now I need a source, right? If I'm making, again, a cappuccino, I'm not going to use espresso beans. So I need to give it, where is this information coming from? Am I looking at a document? Am I looking at meeting notes and website? There's anywhere you want is a possibility, so long as Copilot can see it. And so imagine that if it doesn't exist out there in the web, it has to somehow connect to OneDrive, because OneDrive is the hard drive for Copilot, the hard drive for Office, for Microsoft 365. So instead of having it in your hard drive, you have it there, and that's your source. But then we also talked about, we need two things more, right? Context and expectations. So the next one is our context. What do you think is going to happen if we use a different milk, or if we add cold milk instead of hot milk? Very different coffee, right? Same thing here. Why are we doing this? And this right here is probably the most challenging pieces of the prompting, because most people are not used to talking about the context. They just say, do this, please. And nobody says, well, do this because. And when you actually get to the because, usually your goal changes. So you're doing this, why? Because you're preparing for a meeting, because you're replying to an email, because you're going to present, because of what exactly? But now, last piece, once you actually have the information, you need to explain to how. What is the expectation? So this is where you actually tell it, all right, prioritize it this way. Use this tone, enthusiastic and professional. Use creative tone, use a stern tone. Write it in 2,000 words, in 50% of the text, in 5,000 characters, okay, in 2 tables, in 2 paragraphs. You're picking up what I'm dropping?
I love it. I actually get it. I want that coffee right now.
Right? I need one too. So that, friends, is how you speak to it. However, as we know, we can't just speak and speak, right?
No, it's true. And what we see as well is that we don't need, let Copilot lead the conversation. And we see a lot of people doing that. So, for example, we are waiting until Copilot says something to us, that Copilot comes with an answer for something, and we don't have the right prompts, what we actually want to achieve with Copilot. So everything what you mentioned before, Melissa, is what we need in a good prompt to get the best results. And we have prompts that we say, okay, this is not a really good prompt, for example, that it's really short. We don't know what the goal is. We don't know what exactly the output is. We don't know how we want it, for example, with the bullets or on an article, or where do we exactly want to use it for. So when we ask Copilot for like, only give me a summarize of our meeting, why do we actually need that summarize of that meeting? For example, we can say we need something for get better marketing results, or something that we discussed on that meeting, and not only using the standard prompts, for example. So an active prompt, guide of the conversation, and the uses of that. It's really important to use a good prompt, and this is a good one. So, hey Copilot, can you help me brainstorm ideas for a blog post? about effective remote work strategies, please ask questions to guide to the process. For example, if we have like a meeting on that, on a brainstorm around, for example, this kind of subject, then you can say, okay, this is what I want from this summarize. This is what my next step, what I want. And what we see here is why it's good. It's helping you with a proactive approach. You get more interactions and as well more creativity on the way. And yeah, one of the things that we see as well is that it's not a magic wand. And I think, Melissa, probably you can mention as well a lot about this, but we need to understand that context is key, that we need to help Copilot get the best results for the miracles that we want and why we want to use it. And we don't need to reply on it of everything. So a lot of things that we see here is, and I want to say the last one is like meetings. Can we actually get new meetings, asking Copilot to create a new meeting? If you know exactly how Copilot works, yes, it can work. For example, when we use, for example, the chat function, you can say, okay, when is my calendar available? Can you give me some options for a meeting? But if you use, for example, in Outlook, Copilot doesn't work that way. So that's why you need to understand where is the right place to ask the questions that you want to has as a result. So if you have like the email and you put that in your chats and asking then when is the best time, place to meet with my colleagues, this kind of persons need to be as well in this conversation, there you get better results. So maybe you want to add something on it as well. Yes.
Absolutely. So actually what we are talking in this particular slide, it really isn't a magic wand, but we want you to understand several things about not letting Copilot guide the conversation. There's a lot of prompts that are already there for you. There's a lot of click here, to do this, do that. First of all, those prompts don't use pleasantries, so make sure you edit them to include one, please. And or, by the way, when you use thank you, it means you are ending the conversation and starting a new conversation, even if you don't click on new chat. So that's also important to understand how guiding that conversation can help you in getting what you want. So when you're using it for, say, specific math things, like some people say, well, I told it to count how many meetings I have with Femke next week. Well, first of all, if you're using it for math problems, AI is not for that, but use Think Deeper, and that is only available in the Copilot Pro version and starting to come through in the Microsoft Copilot 365 license. Now, you want to make sure that you understand, like Femke say, where are you using it? Because the issue that she's talking about, that when you want to see when am I available or when are we available, when you use Microsoft Copilot, it is looking at all of your information that's available on OneDrive, in your Outlook, in your anywhere. Whereas if you're answering from an email, it is focused on the source, which is your email. So it can't go outside of the email to look anywhere else because it is focused there. Similar to Copilots themselves, we need to understand that they are separate entities and they don't communicate between them. So in other words, you can't tell Copilot in Word to create a PowerPoint presentation. Now, you can save a Word document that contains information that you're going to be using for it and go to the Copilot in PowerPoint and then ask it to create it based on that, because it cannot understand Word. PowerPoint doesn't understand Word and vice versa. So they're all separate entities that don't work together, but work similar within them. And they have one communicator, which is OneDrive, right? So now, why do we say scheduling meetings hold tight is because although it can look for your availability, it isn't going to open up a new calendar meeting request add the people, and then send it out for you. I'm sure it's not long before that happens, but for the time
Agents.
being, exactly. But for the time being, you using Copilot by itself in its current state, you will be able to create the content that you want to include in the meeting. So say, create the message that I'm going to send these people when we are going to talk about this meeting. You can also ask for find the time when you and X, Y, or Z, as long as you have visibility within their email. When are you guys available? You can ask it to look for your information available and create an agenda based on your previous conversations. So that is information that, for example, a ChatGPT cannot create for you because it doesn't have access to your files or to your information. So using Copilot in its web and or work toggle gives you access to not just the file, not just the email, but looking at the context of all those emails, all those conversations, all those pieces of information together to generate content based on that original one piece. If you had a meeting and that meeting has content, you can reuse that to create something else. So don't use this as a learning crutch, as we say, meaning it's not going to create everything for you, but it does give you that bird's eye view. It gives you that starting point so that your content can be really, really good. But you are the pilot. So you are the one landing that plane. You're the one that is getting that content to be what it needs to be, because without your expertise, your experience, the people that you talk to, the things that you read, without you being here today, your answer would be different than if you had not been here. And that is not going, and Copilot's answer will not change whether you're here or not, right? So we have to keep that into context, that we are the final, we are the pilot, but all of these tools are going to be helping us get to places, but we can't expect for it to do it for us. So thank you on that. Perfect timing. You are reading my mind. So on the summarize, that is one of our biggest pet peeves. We have a whole blog on just summarize. Everywhere you click in Copilot, summarize your email, summarize your meeting, summarize. And the question you have to ask yourself is, why am I summarizing? So I'm summarizing because usually not because you want a summary, unless you didn't attend the meeting, which fair enough. We're not saying summarize doesn't have a time and place. We're simply saying typically summarize is only one of your symptoms, not the actual illness, right? So if you need to get to a task, you're thinking of the immediate goal, not the end goal. The other day I had somebody say, well, I would like a list of all the people that show up on this email. I said, fantastic, let's ask for that. But then if you break up your prompts, if you're not good at prompting, our suggestion is break it up. Goal, context, source, expectations. Write it in. It doesn't hurt it. It helps you. It doesn't hurt Copilot. So when you start writing it in and you realize what is your context, and they said, well, the context is because I'm sending them an email about blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, so you are writing an email to all those people included about, not, you don't need a list of those people included. You don't need a summary of the email. Make sense? So once you start to actually getting to the point where the summary becomes something else, you can use it as a base for something and then add to that prompt. Summarize this email because for this reason, what is the context? What is the purpose? What is the tone? Do it in 2 bullets, create it in an article. The other day, we created a byline article. We had a conversation. Imagine us right here. We're transcribing this right now. You can actually generate from this conversation a byline article where it would list what Femke said, what Melissa said, what anybody here said. And then you have a brand new post that you can take to LinkedIn, YouTube,
This is how you do it.
and reuse this content. So
that's
please
actually really nice.
leverage it.
So we go into the next one, and the next one is avoid the copy-paste trap. And this is something that we see, for example, and I'm going to the next one, is that people are just using the same content all the time. So they have like a Word document, and that Word document is not really the right document, but they stay in that document and using it all the time. But we also can say, okay, we want to add, this is the information that we already have, what Melissa as well mentioned about that PowerPoint and that Word document. So what is actually the search that we're searching for? And then build on that like a new Word document and ask and say, okay, this is the search that I'm looking for. This is the content that I'm looking for. Instead of, okay, I creating a document and I copy paste all kind of things in that kind of document. So what we see, if you like using for example, in OneDrive, but you can do as well on your team side or SharePoint. But if you use, for example, OneDrive and you put there your file in it, then you can say, okay, this is my template that I want to use. And this is what all the things is that I want to have in it. And then you can say, for example, what Melissa is saying in is create slides, create a document type of report. So this is what my goal is. Using the information from this search, that's like, for example, our OneDrive search. And then we can say, okay, and this is a style that I want to put in that document. So for example, and a list with next steps, that's also what she put in. But for example, it's really useful what she wants to achieve. She wants a new document with this search, so all the information that she already has. So she makes it really specific about creating new content. And what we see a lot is that people actually already using that Word document that they already in it and go building it from that. But sometimes it's really better to create a new document, a new Word document, and say, okay, this is what I want to achieve, and this is my search. And then you get like better results than staying in that Word document that you're already in and build it from there. So this is a good one. I think that a lot of people can learn from, to creating new content and using that. So why it's good? It's time saving, better results, and better communication. And this is something that I actually really like as well, creating some content, for example, for our blog posts, Melissa. We also using that in that kind of way, creating new content because we start clear with a new Word document. Is there something that you want to add on as well from this side, Melissa?
Sure. Just, the bottom line is that it is important to always use Copilot. It can be used in an existing document. You have options. You can visualize as a table, you can rewrite, you can ask it to prompt. But if you're expecting for that result to be formatted perfectly and the result to be clear, crystal clear, you have a better opportunity of generating this brand new content and starting from there. So don't focus so much on the formatting first. Dump all of your information, create your own source file, right? Create your own location where everything is. This is where I'm going to pull up the information from. And then with that, start new content. Copilot likes new content. It's a thing.
Yeah, and what we see that a lot of people just say, okay, create this from this kind of topic, and that they don't use that exactly file with all that content in it. So it's good to start first that file and use that and not say, okay, Copilot already knows that I have a file over there with all that information. Yeah, probably you have 50 files in your organization about that topic. So your results are probably being different than the results that you want. And the other one I really like is use templates, Melissa. I think that's as well really useful to have the right templates, for example, with your organization logos and that kind of things. And I see that as well for PowerPoint, for example. Yeah, if you start with a good template that actually uses the right way from that Copilot can read it, So you don't need a lot of images from your company in it, and not a lot of things that Copilot can't read. But if you have, for example, write a template where you can put the title in it and not too much spaces in it, but that actually can understand that this is something that you can put a picture on, and this is something that you can put text on. If you have already that kind of templates, it's actually really working well with your logos in it from your organization. But if you have like animation in it and all kind of stuff, then actually I can say you it doesn't work really well with Copilot at the moment.
You know, actually, now that you mentioned that, if it came to mind that not only templates in regards to your images, but for example, if your templates in Word contain styles, in our prompt, you can say use heading 1 for style for titles, you'd use heading 2 for subtitles, and so forth. So that's going to help you with the format. But also what I have been able to do very successfully, now you're going to have limitations on the size. So if the document is over 80 pages, double spaced, it's probably going to run into an issue. But I have done, for example, replace all the bracket fields with the information in this particular document. So you save that document to OneDrive. And if you have a template, let's say a contract, and you say, this is the template for the contract, grab all of the information that I have, the document, you know, the client name, the property details, whatever it is, and then you grab all of that and it replaces the bracketed text into the Word document if you generate a new document. Now, if you try to just make it so that you're saying grab the source and replace, it doesn't work really well. Okay, but yes, that's a fantastic opportunity to use templates, both for the purpose of not only documenting, formatting using styles, but also for the purposes of replacing content and creating new content from it. One of the ways that I've found to work around the excess of, if it exceeds those 80 pages, is to tell it to start at. So if it ends in section 9, so run the same prompt and say, but start at section 9, and then it keeps going.
Great. This is fantastic advice, I think, that people really can learn from. And the next one that we have is create content on the go. And I think you have great examples over there.
Yeah, so actually there's a question for us saying, what have I done that's been a lifesaver? And this actually has been. So I will tell you, this is one of the things that I hope everybody takes from here, because I don't know about you, but I love to take notes by hand. I love to write them. I am all about writing. It registers in my head, but my notes typically end up in page I can't remember of the notebook I can't find. And that is a problem. So instead of losing your notes, what you can do is you're going to use the Copilot app. So the Microsoft 365 Copilot app, when you download it, there is a feature, an option in it called Capture. So Capture has an additional option within it that's called Extract. And what that means is you are going to take a picture of your notes, handwritten notes. You can take a picture of a sign, even anything that's text anywhere, and it highlights the text, and it gives you two options. It allows you to either copy the text and paste it into, say, a new email, into a OneNote notebook, for example. And you can even tell Copilot, hey, Copilot, grab this, paste it into the prompt and say, generate an email to Femke, letting her know, please confirm these are the details that we agreed, and I will be sending her follow-up email on Tuesday, for example. You can also highlight the text and translate it. So let's say you're walking around someplace you don't know and you see a sign you don't understand. Yeah, oh, coffee. You see a sign you don't understand, you can take a picture and our friend Copilot will translate it for you. And of course, still allow you to paste it into another form, whether it's an email or anything like that. So this is why we say that the way to do it is to use the actual contents instead of just emailing the picture to yourself, which is usually what people do, that doesn't get you anywhere because the content of the note is still missing. And again, makes it difficult sometimes to find the email. However, you can still also ask Copilot to find the email for you, which is really, really good at as well. But you can say something like, using this text, please generate a mission statement for, write a draft follow-up email to, including a bulleted list for this text. And so that way it is reusing the content that you have and creating already something for you. Now, this is my favorite. It avoids typos. How many times do you have typos? Saves times, recycle the content. You are already starting with something that's good to go. It's grammatically correct. It doesn't have any typos. So now your productivity is going to be so much higher because the content that can be good, you're already awesome. You're going to make it so much better in the amount of time that you would have still done it. Sometimes you don't save time, but your content becomes 10 times better. And that is what we're going for. It isn't just about making it about just saving time. It is also translation. It is also getting to know, having the opportunity to make content in other languages and sound smoother without having to be so, you can ask Copilot, use a creative and fun language in Spanish, and it will do that for you. And it will grab your brainstorming ideas and polish them into something else because you don't have to think so hard into generating the original idea. Okay. So it's just one of the things that I really think it's a life-saving tool, and we hope you all enjoy it.
I have some update as well on that, Melissa. I don't know if you know that already, but I mentioned that you can use Copilot now in Word, putting in the prompts an image, and then you can make as well something in Word on it. So now you can say, for example, I have a whiteboard and I sit with our clients about the strategy from that company, and I make a picture of that, and I can say, okay, this is what we discussed and I want to follow it up. We say that we going to make a roadmap for them, and this is the roadmap that I saw. Make a table in it, make everything that you see in this picture, make a document for this goal, this search, this, add this from this search in it, because I have as well some company information from specifically that kind of industry, and I want them to send the first draft about what we discussed in our meeting. So here is as well our translation and our information that we discussed in this meeting, and we bring everything together in one great document. So I have, for example, the image that we have discussed. I have the transcripts from the meeting, from Copilot or the summarize, and I have like the notes that we already put in. So get that everything together in a Word document. I think this is as well really amazing. You talked about the Microsoft app, but it's also available now on Word. So it's amazing.
Amazing. Thank you. Now we do have some questions here before we move forward. I don't know. Well, I mean, I know we're going to answer them. We're going to answer afterwards, but I just wanted to say one question that I want to answer now because we're just talking about it. Remember what we said, you are the pilot, you land the plane. You have to check absolutely everything Copilot does, absolutely everything, including these notes that are on your napkins, including the information that's in Word. And then always, always, always make sure that you are not creating content from scratch. It's not necessary. That's why we say tailor your prompts, tailor your prompts. We can't say it any more. Make sure that you don't just click on a prompt. Tell it why. Tell it what you're going to do with that, how you want it to get it done, and make sure that you, of course, verify.
So
meetings.
Yeah.
You were mentioning already a little bit about it, but I think we can tackle this one together, right?
Yeah, I think as well. We can do this together. But for example, that we say, okay, where are we? Just what did we talk about? It's, of course, again, we don't actually know what we want with this okay, we get some information and we get some general information, but it's not what we really want because there are no details. We don't have meaningful insights. Yes, we talked about this earlier as well, but this is something more that we think that will work when we have, for example, a marketing meeting, summarize the marketing discussion that we have from this meeting, including the decisions that we make for the next steps for our campaign. And then we have like more information about so the context, why are we using that, but as well the actions that we want to make and to the outcomes that we really want to achieve. And this is something that you as well can use for search, for different for your Word document that you want to create on a report, or something that you want to send an email to with the people that you discussed about that kind of topics. So yeah, I really like this. And yeah, this is something that we say, okay, it's really important to have as well some setting ups that Copilots understand that you are the person that speaks. For example, when you have like in a meeting room and there is just one camera and there is just one that they can see that your voice is like actually everyone's voice. So there are some settings that you can do in Teams that you can use for that Copilot is really understand that you are the person. You do some voice and some face recognition. Or you can say, okay, I can use my own laptop as well and put that on. So that you can use the chat, for example. At this time, you can use as well the chat. Copilot understands the chat and the transcription. So it's really good to understand how it works and what the best way is to use Copilot in this. Yeah, again, it's like creating, for example, the meeting recap. What is the final product? What is the next steps? As well, you can ask questions on your own language. I think that's something that you also mentioned, Melissa.
Yes.
In separate different sessions that we have, you can have like my language is in Dutch. I can have a conversation with all of you, but if I don't understand it, I can ask Copilot in Dutch. Can you help me to get more information about what they actually talking about and what is this kind of subject that they are talking about right now? And can you please translate it in my natural language, because I actually don't understand what they are saying at the moment. Or if they change in Spanish or in a different language, then I say, okay, I really want to know more about this. So understand that you can ask Copilot all kind of things that you can achieve more, that you can learn from it, and not only use it for summarize, but actually make yourself better, smarter, and create more creative to get better results as well. I think it's really good to understand that you can do all that kind of things in your meetings. And one thing that I want to mention as well is, for example, that I use it for is when I'm with some people in a meeting and I see that someone is not really presenting, is not really there, I can ask Copilot, like, do you also see something right there? Is that person happy, or is it not really happy? And is this person, did it say something? So I can engage more people to be more inclusive, asking questions so that everyone is on the table, can speak about it, and everyone can say, okay, this is for me as well an important thing, and I can ask that to bring it on the table if I want that. And I think that's really, really, really nice to do on a meeting as well.
Absolutely. I mean, the bottom line is what we have been telling you from the beginning. You want to reuse the content, ask it like Femke just said, ask it questions, ask it in your language, ask it anything you can think of, because that information can be reused based on what has already been said. So there's no reason to ask it to tell you what were the main points discussed in this meeting if what you're really going to do is to act on those points. So if you're going to act, you can say, create a list. And in that list, tell me what are the tasks involved, and check based on our meeting conversation, what did John tell me to do, and add that to that list. And then also create an email to tell John. So you can use, there's different types of prompting, and we're not going to go there today. But if you use chain prompting, or if you use one-shot prompting, two shots, depending on what you want to achieve, you might have to tweak the way that you are asking those questions so that you are able to get the better result. But ideally, you're creating content once, and during meeting is probably the one time where you have the most opportunity to generate content out of a conversation without having to always again recreate. You can ask Copilot, what was the name of this, what was the name of that, gather information, resources, and of course generate content.
Great. So I am going to look at our slide deck, and this is the end of our slide, but I think we both want to share something as well.
I wanted to answer a few questions, so I think we're right on the money.
And I want to ask something as well from my side to you, Melissa. What is your favorite thing that you use in Copilot? And then we go to the questions.
Absolutely. My favorite thing is actually asking it questions in a different language. Especially because people feel so much more comfortable. So I attend a lot of meetings in Spanish, and Spanish is my first language. And sometimes people speak really, really fast or something. And I'll say, please tell me what was the last thing that so-and-so said. That's probably one of my favorite things.
Amazing. Shall I share my one as well? I think a lot of people don't know that. So I really like to share that one as well. So I use Copilot in Outlook a lot. So what I do is I use the dictation one. So I speak to Outlook. I actually believe that we are more going to speak and less going to type. So I speak to Copilot, not to Copilot, but through Outlook. Then I have my things over there as a concept, and then I put Copilot on it. So Copilot looking to that email already that is there. As well, what I put in it from text side, and then I have a really great email over there. Sometimes I speak in Dutch and I ask them to write it in English. So I think it's really amazing for me what kind of results I have there. I really like it. So we have some questions.
We do. Should we start from the top?
Great.
Faraz, do you want to shoot?
Okay, so whatever the questions I got, I'll just drop it. Okay. Okay, so let's start from here. Okay, there's a question on the WhatsApp group. Okay, which came to me saying that what is the biggest mistake people are making while using Copilot in Excel? Okay, Excel.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's from my part. I can tell you that Excel has a lot of requirements, and people don't understand that. Sometimes you have to be able to save to OneDrive. So the Excel workbook has to be saved to OneDrive. And also, although it is said that you don't need tables, and you really don't, sometimes you do, which is weird. And I also have found that the steps for Excel are sometimes a little bit too long for simple things. So if you are going to be using Python and comparing, two budgets and figuring out details or adding more columns, add this versus that, getting a little bit more complicated, if we would, I would say it's worth it. Otherwise, for sorting and filtering, it's just too much work. It is too much leg work. Oh, sorry, too much of a big lift for you to get there. That's my opinion. Femke, you?
Yeah, I think I have the same, and I see that I think Excel is evolving and is getting better with Copilot, but I think Excel is one of the apps that is less far with Copilot, and it's getting better now. I see a lot of new things in it from the past weeks. That is, for example, I use it. I have a meeting at our organization, and I always need to know, okay, these are the customers that has the most potential, has the most of going to reads out that is this month going to that we are going to help this month, for example. And normally, like I do that with my hands, I'll kind of filtering, and now I just had a good prompt that I can do and use all the time on that kind of Excel file that I get out of, for example, Dynamics CRM. And it's helping me a lot because normally I use that, for example, if I had a time on it, for example, preparing my things for one day. So it's really 8 hours that I work on that and really understand what's happening in our dynamic systems and what kind of customers and all the information that people put in that I really actually need to know and understand. And now I do that, like, for example, in 2 hours. So for me, it's really helping well on that specific journey that I have with only that specific outcome that I want. But the other things I actually don't use a lot, only specific that kind of information. So it's helping for me with that. So Excel is not really my cup of tea, cup of coffee.
Well, like I would just like to add over here, since
Yeah.
for Excel, like one most important thing, what you have to also make sure that, as rightly Melissa said, that you put it into a table structure so that you know exactly what you're pointing, where you're pointing your data, and from where you need your information. And
Mm-hmm.
also, I would like to say that you try to organize your Excel file, like you give them name ranges or you give them the cell range, or define the names of a cells specifically, and then you try to run the prompt. So that works better, because sometimes what you are putting in cell A6, then you would move the cell A6. So later on, you tell that, okay, I have calculated the value in A6, then it goes and check back the A6 value, which is already moved to like A7 or A9. So just it's matter of, I feel that organizing the sheet in a right way, because we know that we are talking to a machine. So you have to give them sufficient input to get a sufficient output. Uh,
Again, yeah.
so so it's matter of
Garbage in, garbage
organizing to
out, you
avoid this.
mean?
So,
Yeah,
so I
that's
think
true. So
yes,
we
yes.
we have a few others I see as well. From what is the difference from between Copilot on WhatsApp and the app? Yeah, I see like the app is I use as well, like the Microsoft 365 app a lot. There is Copilot in it, and there is as well all my contents from our tenants from our organization. But you can use as well the Copilot app, but that's the personal Copilot. So it's you can ask Copilot all kind of questions, but it's basically not on your business license. But you can talk with Copilot and you can have a conversation, and you can have like great results, and as well you can put there an image and ask a question about that. So I really like it for personal use. I don't go to Google anymore. I use that kind of things with the Copilot app. But it's different because it's not business driven. So I think that's good to know. And in WhatsApp, it's like the same as the Copilot app for personal use. So you can use there the same things. It's not that you can ask things around WhatsApp. That's not what it can do. It's like actually it's an app in your WhatsApp where you can use Copilot, but it's also personal use. Do we have some more?
So the WhatsApp one, I think the only thing I'd like to add to that. So basically every single person has access to the free if you have an office license. You can talk to it on the web, like you said. The regular, the $30 will give you access to your files. And then the one on WhatsApp, what's really cool, I don't know if you've tried that before, but you can actually take pictures of yourself and it will create images of you. So you can say, imagine me skiing, imagine me with, a professional headshot. It's done pretty cool things. So give it a shot, and that way you can take a look and see how that works out for you. It's really,
Hey,
really nice. So
Femke,
you
how's
just
it going?
Hi,
Hey.
Copilot. How are you? We are in a session right now. Can you please tell us something about yourself?
Yo, Femke, I'm just your friendly know-it-all sidekick here to chat, solve problems, or share cool facts. I'm all about diving deep into conversations and stirring up
I don't know if
curiosity.
you hear this, but so
We
yeah,
can
you
hear.
can. Yeah, it's sort of funny, but you also can ask Copilot to make a song about something, and it actually goes to sing for you, or
Yes.
all kinds of funny things that you can use. But I use it, for example, and probably this is not that everyone needs to do, and it's not a good thing. But I use it, for example, in my car to be creative around the sort of topic. So I talking with Copilots all the time and don't listen to a lot of music anymore. But I'm talking with Copilot and asking questions about probably making some new content and what he is thinking about that. And he said a good subjects and what is happening in the world. And is there something that and then I'm like a 1 hour drive. I actually had talked 1 hour with Copilot, and then I have like several new ideas about my next steps for example, a meeting with a customer or something from private things that I want to achieve. So I really like doing that. But it's yeah, it's not on your talent, it's not on your, so you need to think about it as well, what you are going to ask and what kind of things you want to talk about, because it's not, yeah, not really in your environment of your organization.
Mm-hmm. Now I see also a comment here that somebody says, I received the weird response. I just mentioned hi and received something about music. Let's just say generative AI will generate. You can say X and it will give you something. It may not be what you want. And that's why we were talking about the prompting on, you can say, I want a delicious cup of coffee. You'll get something. It's not probably what you expect, but you will get something no matter what. So keep that in mind, that you're always, always, always going to get something in return. You just have to be specific, clear, and also don't give it additional information that's not relevant. Because, for example, if you give it the same thing that we talked about and said, here's the coffee that, I want coconut milk latte, blah, 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 blah. And at the end, I say, and I wear a 39 shoe size. You and me would be like, Mel's crazy. Okay. And move on. Copilot, on the other hand, will say like, wait a minute. What does that 39 shoe size have to do with that coffee? And make some kind of a relationship. And that's when we start to hallucinate. That's when we start to generate information that's not really clear and that's not what you wanted, but it has to do with what you add onto the prompt.
Great.
Yeah, let me
Oh,
check.
and Copilot for MacBook. I can tell you I've had a lot of experience for that, and it is not supposed to be very different. I don't know if I'm could be played around, but I have quite a bit, and I can tell you looking for emails, searching for emails is sometimes quite challenging. It's it's supposed to work exactly the same. I think there's still a bit of a challenge there. However, the prompting is exactly the same. And I feel that with Max, if you can't find something, if you're having trouble with something, use the online version because it'll log you in through the Microsoft app instead of taking you through the Mac version. And that is my workaround for that. So just know that this is like you're going through a tunnel of a tunnel. So yes, it is great. It works. It's worth the license price for sure. But if you have trouble, use office.com to get your answers instead.
Great. I
Great.
think, yes. And this question, related something that how safe it is used to Copilot with the private company data. What is your comment on that one, Melissa and Femke?
I can tell you briefly, I think Femke has more information on that, but I can just really tell you anything that is free is not. You are the product. So think about that. So do not put anything anywhere that is free, regardless of what you call it. But number two, if you do have a license, then speak to your IT department to see what their guardrails are and how protected you are. But I think Femke probably has a better answer than me on that.
Yeah, I don't know from like the apps that we already mentioned about on your phone with Copilot. I'm always like, I don't need to sign in or something like that. So that's something that can be used, I think, and I probably that happen. But if you use for in your environment and you use Copilot chats, it's now as well free, but it's protected. So you can do, as an admin, can say, okay, we want that our colleagues can use that for free, and use the chats. And Microsoft is saying that they don't use that to make that LLM better, or they don't use that information as well. So I think that's, if you want to use Copilot for free, it's a really good option to use it in your business tenant and use it there, instead of kind of free ways that you can use Copilot for example, for 30 times in a conversation. Do you really want it by personal use? I recommend to use it from the family way, so you can add it on your family accounts and use Copilot there as well. So there are a lot of things that you can do, but always be clear and think about what you put it in. I use it in every kind of way on our environment of our of our own organization, and that's what I do because we're paying for it, and that's why I believe it don't make it better in our LLM, and stay in our organization with the right security things that we put in to make it in place. So that's really important, I think, to look at, and always asking your organization what the best way is for you as a person.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I figured you would have a better answer than me.
Great. So are there more questions, or is this or is Faraz right now checking it?
Checking, and I would just like to think something differently this time. We are running out of time also, so we'll be just dropping out of from YouTube. But I'm finding this time a different way to say thank you by using Copilot. So let me try it out.
Yay.
Love this.
Okay. So, hey Copilot. Okay, so this evening I have my friend joining Femke and Melissa, and they have talked about Copilot, and I want you to thank them to coming on the meetup group, and that's it. That's what I want you to do it.
Femke and Melissa, thanks for joining the meetup group and chatting about Copilot. Hope you have a great time.
Great, and we want to thank you as well, Faraz, because it's really
Yes.
amazing that you give us the opportunity to speak, and all the people that joining us this evening, or from where they are, from all kind of areas on the world. Thank you for joining us. It was really amazing to do this, and hopefully we can join as well at the next time for the next speaker.
Great. So,
Yeah.
Femke, before I end my session on the YouTube, okay, usually I request my speaker, that to give some last words before we go offline from the YouTube, and we still stay back on the Zoom. So all the members who are on the Zoom, please stay back. And Femke, any last word, any last thoughts you wanted to say?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, and if someone
Anything
want to
that
speak,
inspire,
everyone who
anything, it could be anything.
Yeah, I think the things that I just want to say is if someone wants to speak as well about Copilot, or want to share not only Copilot, but want to share in the tech community, want to share their knowledge, please do, because it's really important to share your knowledge, and everyone can learn from all kind of ways. So that's the last thing that I want to say, that I am here as well to help you if you want to do something in that And I think for us, that's as well what you're doing. So that's what I want to say. And Melissa doing that the same. But that's what I feel. My last word.
Melissa, any last words from your side before we sign out from the YouTube?
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for the opportunity. I second what Femke said. We all need to share the knowledge. The biggest challenge is we are now moving from a world of buttons, right click options and left click options to a blinking cursor. And that is a big challenge. So we can do this together better. Use Copilot, for pretty much, I use it for anything. So let me know how I can help. I'm super excited to be a part of this movement and happy to share knowledge and looking forward to anything more. Thanks again for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Okay, my friends. Bye, and I'll be seeing you soon in my next meetup session. So, saying you bye from the YouTube and see you next time.